The little blue-winged bees buzz around the flower beds, warm and busy among the flower beds full of sunflowers. There is a special little bee flying around, buzzing. Body is fluffy and golden. The most amazing thing is a pair of transparent blue wings, as if they were dyed with the color of the sky. When it flies, it makes a buzzing sound. The wings also reflect colorful light. The mother bee always says, buzzing is a little rainbow in the flower bed. Its wings are special, but its heart is even warmer. That early morning, the little butterfly's colorful wings were stuck by the morning dew, and it couldn't fly. Buzzing hurriedly flew over, gently rubbed the dew off Kai's wings with its fluffy body, and flapped its blue wings to dry it. Kai, don't be afraid. I'll help you. Kai. Cai flapped her dry wings and followed the buzzing. Thank you, buzzing. Your blue wings are even more effective than small fans. How considerate. In the morning, when the sun rose, little Aunt Guoguo led her team to carry sugar grains, but was stopped by a small soil slope. When Wang Wang saw this, he immediately flew to the nearby Morning Glory vine, hooked the vine with his claws, and let the vine hang down to form a small bridge. Guoguo, it's easier to climb up from here. The little ants crawled steadily along the vine. Guoguo waved her antennae and said, Thank you, Wang. Your method is even more ingenious than a small ladder. How smart. At noon, little ladybug Dion. Dion couldn't find her mother and sat on a petal crying. Buzzing recalled seeing the ladybug mother in the rose bushes just now. He quickly flapped his blue wings to lead the way. The light of the blue wings was as bright as a little lantern. Dion, Dion, follow my blue light. Mom is waiting for you ahead. Dion. Dion followed Len Guang quickly to find her mother, flapping her wings and saying, Thank you, Wang Wang. Your blue wings are clearer than a signpost, so reliable. In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor S house came to the flower bed to pick flowers and wanted to make a garland, but she just couldn't find the purple lavender. Buzzing immediately flew ahead to lead the way. Its blue wings fluttered, carrying each flower to the lavender field hidden deep in the flower beds. Duodwo held the purple lavender and smiled. Wang Wang, you are truly my little guide. Your blue wings are so special, like glowing little gems. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Buzzing noticed that the grass leaf nest of the little cricket Lely was leaking. He quickly gathered his friends and used the petals and spider silk they had picked to help Lely repair the nest. It even specially used its blue wings to block the raindrops that were falling. Lely, don't worry, we'll help you reinforce it. When the raindrops fell, Lele's bed was extremely dry. She sang a song and said, Thank you, Wang. Your blue wings are stronger than the small umbrella. The setting sun dyed the flower beds warm golden. The friends gathered under the sunflowers and held a small sharing session. Taizai brought the most fragrant pollen, Guoguo brought sweet sugar grains, and Duo brought honey cookies. It buzzed on the petals, its blue wings shining in the setting sun. It said, If I can help everyone, I'll have more energy to gather honey. The mother bee smiled and said, "The buzzing blue wings are beautiful, but the helpful heart shines even brighter. When the moon rises, it hums back to the beehive, brimming with nectar, and its blue wings occasionally flash a faint light." Because of the buzzing of the blue-winged little bees, this flower bed has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and more blissful than the shining blue wings. The night sky guardian of the owl cuckoo under the dark blue forest night sky. There stands a majestic owl named Gugu. Gugu's feathers are light brown with fine white spots. Its round face is set with two big eyes like copper bells. At night, it emits a soft green light. Its wings spread out like two flexible little fans. It flies silently. Grandma Squirrel always says Gugu is the night guard of the forest. Its eyes are bright and its heart is warmer. That evening, little hedgehog Kayuki wanted to look for wild fruits under the cover of night, but the forest was pitch dark, and she dared not move. Gugu flapped her wings and flew over. Her big eyes lit up instantly. "Cookie, don't panic. I'll be your little lantern." The green light spread out a shiny path. Cookie followed the light and found a full cluster of wild fruits arching her body. She said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your eyes are brighter than lanterns. Wild fruits are so sweet." At night, the little bat Hai was catching insects when it accidentally bumped into a spider web and got its wings entangled. Gugu hurriedly flew over, gently pecking through the spider silk with its sharp beak, and also helped Hai sort out the scattered fluff. "Hai, be more careful next time." Hey flapped its wings and flew up, smiling and saying, "Thank you, Googler. Your mouth is more dexterous than a small pair of scissors." So reliable. At midnight, the concert of Little Cricket Lely was about to start when the small light beside the stage went out. Gugu immediately landed on a branch, warming up the big eyes light and illuminating the entire stage. Lele stood in the light and sang. All the little animals came to support her. After Lele finished singing, she shouted, "Thank you, Gugu. Your light is more beautiful than the stage lights." The concert was such a success. In the early hours of the morning, the little girl, Duwadwo next door, had a fever. Her parents were in a hurry to find a doctor, but no one was there to accompany her. Duwadwo was lying by the window and just saw the gurgling on the branch. Gubu seemed to understand her thoughts and stayed by the window all the time, casting a gentle green light on her small bed. Duwadwo looked at the green light and gradually became less afraid. She said softly, "Gubu, you are so nice. With you by my side, I'm not afraid anymore." Just before dawn, the team of Little Ant Guagu was carrying grains when they were blocked by a small ditch. Gugu found a big leaf and held it down steadily with her paws to form a leaf bridge. "Guagu, quickly bring your friends over." The little ants walked steadily in a line. Guagu waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your solution is even more ingenious than a small wooden board, so consider it." The sun rose slowly. Gugu was getting ready to go back to the tree hole to rest. Its friends all came to see it off. Cookie brought sweet wild fruits, Hai shared some tips for catching insects, and Duodwa placed a plate of millet by the window. Gugu pecked at Xiaomi, her eyes narrowing into slits. I'm the happiest when I can help everyone. Grandma Squirrel smiled and said, Gugu's eyes will shine, and a heart that is willing to help others will shine even brighter. When the sunlight fills the forest, Gugu sleeps soundly in the tree hole. Thanks to the owl Gugu, the nights in this forest have become more peaceful and lively. Such nights are more pleasant than sweet wild fruits and make people feel happier than bright green light. A heartwarming and amusing story of the clattering magic crown. In the treasure box of the castle lay a golden magic crown, which was called Sparkle. The sparkling edge is adorned with tiny rubies, and a luminous sapphire is set at the top. The patterns on the crown are like entwined vines, and a gentle touch will scatter bright starlight. The little fairy lily in the castle always says, Sparkling is the little lucky star of the castle. It looks magnificent, but its heart is warmer than the starlight. One early morning, the little squirrel Tao Tao got lost in the castle garden and was so anxious that it hugged a pinnacone and cried. Sparkle gently floated out of the treasure box. The sapphire lit up like a little lantern. Tao Tao, follow my light. Starlight led the way ahead and soon led Tao Tao to the familiar pine forest. Tao Tao held a pinnacone and said, Thank you, Shanshan. Your light is brighter than a street lamp. I'm finally home. In the morning, the colorful wings of the little butterfly got wet from the rain and it couldn't fly. Shanshan hurriedly floated over and gently brushed the wings of Tizai Sai with the starlight at the edge of the crown. The starlight was like a gentle warm breeze, quickly drying up the water droplets. Sai Cai flapped her wings and flew around Shanshan. Thank you, Shanshan. Your starlight is gentler than the sun. I can fly again. At noon, the little Master Duadwa was playing hide-and-seek in the castle. Hiding in the attic, she accidentally knocked over a bookshelf, and the books piled up like a small mountain. Shanshan floated up to the attic, lifted the scattered books with the starlight, gently placed them back on the bookshelf, and also found a more secluded hiding place for Duadwu. Duadwu smiled and hugged Shanshan, saying, Thank you, Shanshan. You are really my little helper. You are so amazing. In the afternoon, the little boy Lele from the neighbor's house came to visit the castle and wanted to have a look at the magical treasures. Shanshan deliberately made the sapphire emit a rainbow-colored light and also made the starlight form little flowers in Lely's palm. Lely ran after the starlight, her face flushed with laughter. Shanshan, you are the most magical crown. It's so much fun playing with you. In the evening, the small clock in the castle stopped, and no one knew it was time for dinner. Shanshan flew up to the clock tower, using the starlight to stir the pendulum, and the ding-dong sound of the bell rang out again. Grandpa Chef brought out the fragrant pastries and said with a smile, Thanks to Shanshan, we were able to serve the meal on time. What a considerate little baby. The setting sun dyed the castle a golden red. The friends gathered around the treasure box and held a small sharing session for Nanshan. Tao Tao brought the fullest pine cones. Sai Tai presented the most beautiful petals. And Duo and Lala brought sweet honey cakes. Shanshan lay beside the cake, with starlight and candlelight shining together. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." Little Fairy Lily smiled and said, "The glittering crown is magnificent, but a helpful heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, it sparkled back into the treasure box, and the sapphire was still glowing gently. Because of the glittering magic crown, this mall castle has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more delicious than sweet cakes and more dazzling than golden crowns. A warm memory of a garden filled with blooming flowers in the sunlit garden. There is a charming little daisy blooming. It is called Duardwo. The petals of Duardwo are as white as snow. The center of the flower is like a golden little sun. The stem is thin but very strong, and it is covered with soft little down. Sister Butterfly always says Duardwo is the little sweetheart of the garden. She is beautiful in appearance and has a heart sweeter than nectar. That early morning, little Aunt Guagu led the team to carry breadcrumbs and was so exhausted that she lay on a stone, gasping for breath. Duardwo quickly swayed her petals, allowing the flower shadows to gently cover the ants and dripping the morning dew on the petals. Guagu, come and enjoy the cool and have some water. The little ants drank the cool dew. Guagu waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Duardwo. Your flower shadows are more comfortable than the shade of leaves, and the dew is sweet." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the little ladybug's wings were covered with mud, and it couldn't fly, so it turned around in a hurry. Duardwo gently bent the flower stem and brought the petals close to Diandian. "Diandian, use my petals to rub your wings." Diandian lay on the soft petal, wiped her wings clean, flapped them, and flew twice. "Thank you, Duardwo. Your petals are softer than flannel. I can fly again." At noon, while a little bee was buzzing to gather nectar, it accidentally pricked its foot with a small thorn. Duardwo quickly released a faint floral fragrance. This aroma could relieve the pain and also allow Wumang to rest on his flower head. Buzzing licked the nectar and said, "Thank you, Duardwo. Your floral fragrance is more effective than a little ointment, and your nectar is especially sweet." In the afternoon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the garden. She accidentally fell down, and her knees were rubbed red. She saw the little flower with the same name as hers, squatted down and gently touched the petals. The little flower seemed to understand her pain. It slowly unfurled its petals and cast the most beautiful flower shadows on her knees. The little girl smiled and said, "Little Duardwo, you are so gentle. It doesn't seem to hurt me as much anymore." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Duardwo saw the little cricket lily hiding under the grass leaves. Its little nest was unobstructed. Duo quickly bent the flower stems as much as possible, using a large flower plate to shield Lely from the wind and rain, and also let the raindrops flow along the edges of the petals to prevent them from getting wet on Lely. When the raindrops fell, Lely was singing under the flower bed. "Thank you, Duo. Your flower tray is stronger than a small umbrella. I'm not wet at all." The setting sun dyed the garden a warm golden color. The little friends gathered around Duo and held a small sharing session. The little ant brought breadcrumbs. The little ladybug shared the dewdrops on the petals, and the little girl brought sweet water. One by one, they stand among the flowers, their petals shining in the setting sun. They say, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." Sister Butterfly smiled and said, "Each petal is delicate, but a heart that is willing to help others is even more precious." When the moon rose, the flowers were still gently swaying in the breeze, giving off a faint fragrance. Because of the little flowers blooming one after another, this small garden has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and more beautiful than pure white petals. Brown Bear Dundon's Warm Forest Diary. In the forest full of oak trees, there lived a chubby brown little bear named Dundon. Dundon's fur is like sun-dried chocolate, feeling warm to the touch. Its round face is set with big eyes like black grapes. Its paws are thick but flexible. When it runs, it wobbles like a little meatball. Mother Bear always says Dundon is the little support of the forest. It looks simple and honest, and its heart is sweeter than honey. That early morning, the pinnacone basket carried by the little squirrel Tao Tao was hanging on a high branch, and even on tiptoe, it was out of reach. Dundon slowly walked to the tree, stood steadily, and let Tao Tao climb onto his shoulder along his back. With a light stroke, he reached the basket. Tao Tao held a pine cone and smiled. "Thank you, Dundon. You're more reliable than a big tree. My pinnacone is safe." In the morning, the sun made the forest warm and cozy. Little hedgehog Kuki wanted to carry a big strawberry home, but couldn't push it. Dundon hurried over, carefully lifted the strawberry with his thick paws, and slowly followed Kuki home. Kuki nudged the strawberry and said, "Thank you, Dundon. Your strength is even greater than that of a small cart. The strawberries have finally arrived home." At noon, little fox Hong Hong was skating on the ice river. Accidentally, she fell and sprained her ankle, unable to walk. Dundon hurried over, gently picked up Hong Hong and steadily carried her back to the tree hole. Hong Hong lay in Dundon's arms and said, "Thank you, Dundon. Your arms are warmer than a little cotton quilt. It doesn't hurt at all." In the afternoon, the little girl Duo from the neighbor's house came to the forest to pick mushrooms. She got lost and was so anxious that she almost cried. Dundon heard the crying and ran over it. He gently rubbed his nose against Duo's palm and then walked slowly ahead, waving back from time to time. Duo followed Dundon and soon saw the small wooden house at the entrance of the forest. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Dun Dun remembered the little bird's nest perched on a tree branch and quickly found some dry grass and leaves to help the mother bird secure the nest firmly. He also used his big body to block the nest in front. When the raindrops fell, the baby birds were safe and sound in their nests, and the mother bird kept chirping and thanking them. The setting sun dyed the forest a warm brown. The friends gathered beside the oak tree and held a small sharing session. Tao Tao brought plump pine cones, Kyuki brought sweet strawberries, and Duadwa brought honey cookies. Dun Dun sat in the middle, munching on a biscuit, his eyes narrowed into small crescent moons. Mother Bear smiled and said, Dun Dun's brown fur is cute, but her kind and warm-hearted heart is even more precious. When the moon rose, Dun Dun lay in the tree hole, listening to the chirping of insects in the forest, with crumbs of biscuits still sticking to the corners of his mouth. Because of the brown bear Dun Dun, this small forest has become warmer and more reassuring. Such days are even happier than sweet honey. A heartwarming memory of the little snail slowly walking on the grassland. Beside the stone on the green grassland lived a slow little snail. Its name was Mung Mung, slowly carrying a spiraling brown shell. It's like carrying a small house. Its body is soft, and wherever it climbs, it leaves shiny silver lines. Its antennae curl up and down, which is particularly cute. The snail mother always says, slowly is the little patience in the grassland. Although it moves slowly, it has a heart full of willingness to help. One early morning, little Aunt Guago was carrying breadcrumbs with her friends. Halfway through, they were blocked by a small puddle. The puddle was not wide, but the ants couldn't cross it and were running around in circles in anxiety. Slowly, slowly climbing over, she said softly, "Don't worry, I'll be the little bridge." It slowly spread its body across the puddle, and its hard shell transformed into a steady little stone bridge. The little ants lined up and crawled along the shiny silver line. Guogo waved its antennae and said, "Thank you. Take your time. Your shell is more stable than a small plank." In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. Little ladybug Dion couldn't find a shady spot and lay listlessly on a leaf, slowly and quickly crawled over, slightly tilting the shell as if holding up a small sunshade. Dion, come and cool off under my shell." Dion climbed under the shell. The cool touch immediately perked it up. Flapping its wings, it said, "Thank you so much. Take your time. It's even more comfortable here than the shade of leaves." At noon, the little butterfly's colorful wings got stained with mud and couldn't fly. It flapped about anxiously. Slowly, I climbed up to its side, gently rubbed off the mud spots on Cai's wings with my soft body, and also found a clean blade of grass for it to wipe. Cai flapped her wings and finally was able to fly. She slowly circled around twice and said, "Thank you," slowly. "You are gentler than the spring breeze." In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play on the grass and discovered Mott. She squatted down, watched it crawl gently without touching its shell, and whispered, "You crawl so slowly. How cute." Gradually, it seemed that I understood. My antennae were raised even higher, and I crawled more vigorously. I even deliberately climbed to the side of a small wildflower, allowing each one to smell its fragrance. Duoduo smiled and said, slowly, "You are really a caring companion." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Gradually, I recalled the little cricket lily living in the pile of withered grass. Its little nest was unobstructed. Slowly and quickly crawled over, holding the shell high up, like holding up a tiny house umbrella, just enough to cover Lele's little nest. When the raindrops tick-tock fell, Lely hid under the umbrella and said with a smile, "Thank you so much." Slowly, "Your shell works better than leaves." The setting sun dyed the grassland an orange red. The friends gathered around Mung Mung and held a small sharing session. The little aunt brought sweet breadcrumbs, the little ladybug shared nectar, and Duodwo brought clear water. Slowly lying in the middle, the shell glowed gently in the setting sun. It said, "Although I crawl slowly, I'm the happiest when I can help everyone." The mother snail smiled and said, "Gradually, the shell becomes very strong, but a patient and enthusiastic heart is even more precious." When the moon rises, its moonlight spills over the grass, slowly carrying the small house and slowly climbing back to the side of the stones. Because of the little snail, gradually, this small meadow became gentler and more reassuring. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar, and more adorable than spiral-shaped little shells. A gentle memory of the meadow filled with wildflowers on the grassland by the ridge of the field. There is an unremarkable little wildflower blooming. It is called Duodwo. The petals of Duodwo are light pinkish white with faint purple stripes along the edges. The center of the flower is a tender yellow ball of fluff. When the wind blows, it gently sways, giving off a faint fragrance. Mother Butterfly always says, "Duodwo is a little tenderness on the grassland." Though unremarkable, it has a heart willing to help. That early morning, little Ant Guogo was carrying sugar grains on his back and was on his way home when he was blocked by a small soil slope. Duodwo quickly shook the flower stem and shouted, "Guogo, come up with me." It bends the slender flower stems into gentle arcs, turning them into a small flower stem slope. Guogo slowly crawled along the flower stem and waved her antennae at Duodwo, saying, "Thank you, Duodwo. Your flower stems are more stable than small steps." In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. Little ladybug. Dion couldn't find a shady spot and lay on the ground listlessly. One by one, they spread their petals open, like holding up a little pink and white umbrella. Dion, come and enjoy the cool here." The drops landed on the soft petals, and the cool touch immediately made it perk up. Flapping its wings, it said, "Thank you, Duodwo. It's even more comfortable here than the shade of leaves." At noon, little butterfly Tizai came back from gathering honey. Her mouth was dry, but she couldn't find any dew. Duardwo remembered the morning dew condensed on her petals and quickly said, "Keikai, come and have a drink of water." It gently tilts the petals, allowing the shiny dewdrops to drip in front of Tsi. Tsi licked the sweet dew and regained her strength. "Thank you, Duardwo. Your dew is sweeter than nectar." In the afternoon, dark clouds drifted over the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Duardwo thought of the little cricket lily living in the nearby pile of withered grass. Its little nest was unobstructed. Duardwo quickly unrolled all her petals, trying to spread them as wide as possible, like a tiny flower umbrella, just enough to cover Lale's little nest. When the raindrops tick-tock fell, Lales hid under the flower and said with a smile, "Thank you, Duardwo. Your petals are more useful than leaves." In the evening, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play on the grass and discovered this unremarkable little wildflower. She squatted down, gently inhaled the fragrance, didn't pick it off, and instead gathered a few fallen leaves around her. "Although you are small, you are very gentle. I will protect you." The wildflowers swayed their petals one by one, spreading their fragrance further, as if responding to this affection. The setting sun dyed the grassland orange-red. The little friends gathered around Duardwo and held a small sharing session. The little ant brought sweet sugar grains, the little ladybug shared nectar, and the little girl brought clear water. Duardwo stood in the middle, her pinkish-white petals shining gently in the setting sun. She said, "I'm very happy every day if I can help everyone." Mother Butterfly smiled and said, "Although Duardwo may not be eye-catching, her kind and gentle heart is the most precious." When the moon rose, the moonlight fell upon Duardwo, and the petals seemed to be plated with a layer of silver. Because of the blooming wildflowers, this small meadow has become more gentle and lively. Such days are more pleasant than sweet dew and more beautiful than the faint fragrance of flowers. The heartwarming story of the little snake in the forest. In the grass of the forest lived a little snake called Won-Won. Its body is a light bluish green, as if wrapped in a layer of spring grass leaves with fine white patterns on it. When it gets up, its body twists and turns flexibly, like a moving little ribbon. At first, the little animals in the forest were a little afraid of it. It wasn't until they found out that Won-Won was actually a warm-hearted little helper. One early morning, Won-Won was basking in the sun on a branch when suddenly she heard a weak gee-gee sound. It was the chirping of a bird just learning to fly, which had accidentally fallen from its nest and hung on a vine with its wings tightly bound and unable to break free. But Won-Won hurriedly climbed over, gently bypassing the vines with her soft body, and gradually untangled the vines that were entwined around Juju's wings. Its movements were particularly gentle, fearing to hurt Choo-Choo. It wasn't until Choo-Choo could fly again that Won-Won heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Won-Won." Choo-Choo flew around Won-Won twice and gave it a sweet red fruit. In the morning, One was drinking water by the stream when she saw the little squirrel Gogo squatting on a stone, worried. It wanted to carry the nuts it had found home, but there were too many to fit in its pocket, and they rolled all over the ground. One's eyes lit up. She coiled her body into a round little basket and asked Guoguo to put the nuts in the middle of her body. It held the nut steadily and climbed back into the tree hole with Guoguo, not even dropping a single nut. Guoguo said emotionally, One, your body is even better than my little pocket. At noon, a gentle wind suddenly blew in the forest, carrying the scarf that Grandma Rabbit had sun-dried on the branches onto the high tree branches. Grandma Rabbit, standing on tiptoe, couldn't reach it and sighed anxiously. One hurriedly climbed over, nimbly climbing along the tree trunk to the branch. She wrapped her body around the scarf, slowly pulled it down, and gently placed it in Grandma Rabbit's hand. Grandma Rabbit stroked One's head and said with a smile, Our One is such a good child. We are not scary at all. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange-red. One was lying on the grass, surrounded by Juju Guoguo and Grandma Rabbit. They were sharing red fruits and sweet carrots. One chewed the red fruit and suddenly felt, being able to help my friends solve problems is much happier than basking in the sun alone in the grass. It turns out that no matter how you look on the outside, as long as you have a warm heart, you can become everyone's good friend. The days in the forest have become more and more lively and sweet because of the helpful little snake. The green four-season travel notes of the little leaf on the maple tree in spring. A tiny new leaf sprouted, and everyone called it green. Its body is tender, with faint serrations along the edges. The color is a bright light green, like jade washed by the spring rain. When the wind blows, it gently sway, singing the song of spring together with the little birds on the branches. One early morning, little Aunt Guoguo was carrying her luggage to her grandma's house. But a small stream blocked her way. When Guoguo was running around in circles in anxiety, LV saw it and quickly shouted to her, Guoguo, I'll be your little boat. Grandpa Wind gave a gentle blow and LV floated onto the stream. Guoguo quickly jumped up and sat steadily in the middle of LV. LV carried Guoguo, drifting slowly along the stream. She also shielded Guoguo from the splashing water and safely sent him to the opposite bank. Thank you, Green. Guoguo waved goodbye and LV smiled and said, Remember to come and see me in autumn. Summer has come. LV has grown big and green, becoming the most eye-catching leaf on the maple tree. The midday sun was scorching hot. Little ladybugs were lying on the leaves, almost dizzy from the sun. LV quickly stretched out her body like a small green umbrella, blocking the sunlight completely. Dion lay under LV, enjoying the breeze and falling asleep comfortably. In her dream, she mumbled, LV's umbrella is so cool. Autumn has come. The green body gradually turns golden yellow, with a hint of orange-red at the edge, as if wearing a colorful little coat. One day, the little squirrel Lely came to pick up leaves to make a nest. When he saw LV, his eyes lit up. "This leaf is so beautiful, it can just be my little blanket." LV gently swayed her body and floated down from the branch, landing in Lele's arms. Lele spread the green grass on the warm, dry grass. At night, she lay on it, smelling the fragrance of the leaves and sleeping very soundly. When winter is approaching, the green has turned deep red and will drift away at the slightest touch. It saw the little birds collecting soft things to build their nests, so it said to them, "Let me be your little cushion." The little birds happily carried green back to their nests and spread it on the bottom layer. LV lay in the bird's nest, listening to the chirping of the little birds, feeling warm in her heart. When the snowflakes were falling, although green gradually became dry, it wasn't sad at all. It had helped the little ants cross the river, provided shade for the little ladybugs, served as a blanket for the little squirrels, and even made a cushion for the little birds. Looking at the vast white forest, LV suddenly realized that no matter it was the tender green spring, the emerald green summer, or the golden autumn, every period of time could be of help to her friends. It turns out that a tiny leaf can leave so many warm stories throughout the 4 seasons. How fortunate it is. The buzzing nectar promise of the little bee in the sunflower bush of the garden. There lives a tiny bee buzzing. Its body is only as big as a fingernail. Its yellow and black fur looks like it has been sprinkled with a layer of gold powder. When its wings flap, they make a soft buzzing sound. Every time it collects honey, it fills the honey sacs on its hind legs up, as if it has 2 small honey jars hanging on it. That early morning, as soon as the sun had warmed the petals, Wang carried his little honey pot out. It landed on a sunflower and was busy absorbing the sweet nectar when suddenly it heard a woo-woo cry. It was the little butterfly Lely. Its wings were wet by dewdrops and stuck to the dandelion fluff, and it couldn't break free no matter how hard it tried. Wang immediately stopped collecting honey, flew around the dandelion twice, then gently plucked off the fluff, stuck to its wings with its little paws, and flapped its wings to dry the moisture for Lele. "Thank you, Wang." Laels flapped her wings and flew up, even pointing at the rose bushes not far away for Wang. The nectar there is sweeter. It buzzed to the rose bushes and indeed smelled a strong fragrance of flowers. In no time, it was filled with honey. When passing by the ant's home, it saw the ants carrying breadcrumbs larger than itself, sweating profusely. Buzzing quickly fell, squeezing out a small drop of nectar from the honey sac and dropping it onto a leaf. "Taste this quickly, replenish your strength." The ants surrounded the nectar and ate happily. When the sun was about to set, Buzzing, carrying a full sack of honey, flew back to the beehive. The queen bee tasted the honey it had collected and said with a smile, "The honey collected by Wang is the sweetest." I buzzed my antennae, my heart sweeter than honey. It turns out that not only can gathering honey bring happiness, but helping friends solve problems can also bring double the sweetness. The Underwater Guide of Little Fish Bubble in the Azure Underwater World. There lives a little goldfish named Bobo. Its scales are golden and shiny, as if sprinkled with a handful of broken gold. Its tail is like a transparent little fan. When it swims, it paddles the water with a swish, swish, swish sound, and behind it follows a string of shiny little bubbles. Even the corals on the seabed like to sway their branches towards it, because the bubbles are known as the living map of the seabed, knowing every coral cluster and every reef inside out. One early morning, Baobo was chasing little shrimps among the seaweed when suddenly he heard a woo cry. It was Yoyu, a little seahorse that had just moved to the bottom of the sea. It came out with its mother to look for food, but got lost after a few rounds. Looking at the unfamiliar rocks around, it was so anxious that its tail hung down. Bubble swam over quickly and gently touched Yoyu with its fin. "Don't worry, I'll take you to find Mum." It remembered seeing its mother's seahorse near the rainbow coral cluster in the morning, so it took Yoyu to swim towards the coral cluster. While swimming, it introduced to Yoyu, "Look, that's the luminous jellyfish sister. That's the shell grandpa who can play hide, dash and dash seek. ... It wasn't long before the mother seahorse swam over in a hurry and slowly threw herself into her arms. The mother seahorse wagged her tail at the bubble as if saying, "Thank you so much." In the morning, Baobo swam to the reef area and saw the little crab Kion Kion squatting on a rock, worried. Kion Kion wanted to find the small conch hidden in the shell for lunch, but after searching for a long time, he couldn't find it. His big pincer was a bit exhausted. Bubble's eyes lit up, and she swam behind a big rock with her pincers. "I know there are many shells hiding conchs here." It gently pushed aside the seaweed with its tail, and indeed a pile of shells with patterns was exposed. The pincers happily opened the shells with their pincers and gave the biggest conch to the bubble. "This is for you. Thank you for helping me find food." At noon, a small current suddenly came to the bottom of the sea, carrying the little starfish Xing Xing to the deep sea area. Xing Xing was so scared that it clung tightly to the reef and dared not move. When Bobo noticed this, he quickly swam over, blocking the water flow with his body. He also found a few small fish to swim slowly around the stars, guiding the water to the nearby spot. The star was finally able to slowly crawl back to the shallow water area. It winked at the bubble and turned its brightest corner towards it, as if giving it a little star. In the evening, the setting sun filtered through the sea, dyeing the seabed a warm orange-red bubble, sat beside the rainbow coral cluster, surrounded by Yoi Jianshan and Xing Xing, sharing conchs and sweet seaweed. Bo chewed on the seaweed, looked at the smiling faces of his friends, and gently paddled his tail in the water. Suddenly, he felt that being everyone else's underwater guide and helping his friends solve problems was even more enjoyable than chasing after little shrimps to play. It turns out that even a tiny fish can, through its own familiarity and friendliness, become a little sun in the underwater world, bringing warmth and joy to every friend. Such underwater life is even more dazzling than golden scales and more delicious than sweet seaweed. A small forest stage with colorful mushrooms blooming everywhere in the forest after the rain. A special mushroom named duadwo emerged under the pine tree. Its canopy seems to have been dyed by a rainbow, with red, yellow, pink and blue colors forming circles. The handle of the umbrella is tender white and still covered with shiny water droplets. From a distance, it looks like a small rainbow propped up on the grass, and even the little ants passing by can't help but stop to take a second look. One early morning, the little squirrel Guago skipped by and saw Duadwo's eyes light up. "Wow, you are so beautiful. We are going to have a singing party in the forest, but we haven't found a suitable stage yet." Duadwo shook the umbrella cover as if saying, "I can help." Guago immediately understood and hurriedly ran to gather his friends, little ladybug Dion, little snail man Boo, and little butterfly Hong Hong all came over. Guago held pine cones and placed them around Duadwo's umbrella cover, using them as small street lamps. Dion flew to the nearby flower beds, picked dewdrops of petals and stuck them on Duadwo's umbrella handle, as if it were adorned with colorful little bells. Slowly, he would crawl to the brook, carry the shells back into the clear stream water, and sprinkle them on the grass around the mushrooms, filling the air with sweet steam. In the evening, the party was about to start, and all the little animals were gathered around Duadu. Little butterfly Hong Hong stood on the umbrella cover, singing. When her wings flapped, they cast colorful shadows on the grass, as if she were dancing in circles. Guagu and Diandian clapped their hands to the rhythm, and Mantuen also waved his antennae to keep the beat. Even the nearby rabbit grandma came. She sat on the stone beside Duadwa and said with a smile, "This colorful mushroom is truly the best little stage in the forest." At the end of the party, Hong Hong gave Duadwa the brightest petal. Guagu left a fragrant pinna cone, and Diandian gently kissed the umbrella cover. Duadwo stood on the grass, watching the backs of her friends, feeling warm in her heart. It turned out that her colorful umbrella cover was not only beautiful, but could also become a happy little stage for everyone. In the forest at night, the moonlight falls on the colorful umbrellas, and even the stars seem to be blinking their bright eyes at this special mushroom. The warm magic of the little flowers on the windowsill on the little girl's round desk. There was a small pot of flowers named Duadwo. Its flower pot is light blue, like a small teacup. The petals are tender pink, and the center of the flower is wrapped with a small golden ball. Every morning, it quietly unfurls its petals, smiling at the sun outside the window. Even when the wind passes by the windowsill, it will carry its faint fragrance into the room. That morning, Yuan was on her way to the kindergarten with her school bag on her back. Before leaving, she squatted beside a flower pot and gently touched each petal, saying, "I'm going to learn new drawing today. I'll tell you when I come back." Duo shook the leaves as if saying, "Come on." But in the afternoon, it suddenly began to drizzle. Yuan forgot to close the window. The raindrops pattered dada on the petals of each flower. It quickly gathered the petals closer to the center. Fearing that the raindrops would break it, it was still waiting to hear Yuan tell the story of its new painting. In the evening, when Yuan came back from school, she saw water droplets on Duo's petals. She quickly closed the window and took a small towel to gently wipe the water off the petals, saying, "I'm sorry, Duo, I let you get wet in the rain." Duo didn't seem to be angry. Instead, it slowly unfurled its petals, bringing the most fragrant scent to Yuan's side. It turned out that it had been hiding the fragrance of flowers all day long, just waiting for Yuan to come back. A few days later, Yuan's good friend Lele came to her home to play. Lele had been a bit unhappy recently because her little hamster had gone to heaven. Yuan pulled Lele and squatted by the windowsill, pointing at Duo and saying, "Look, Duo blooms every day. Even when it rains, she doesn't wilt. It's as if she's saying, 'Be happy.'" Lele stared at the tender pink petals, one by one. Suddenly, she smelled a faint fragrance, and the corners of her mouth slowly curled up. Really, its fragrance is sweet, like the smell of melon seeds that the little hamster used to gnaw on. Since then, Yuan has watered Duo and told her stories every day, and Lele often comes to talk to Duo. The petals bloomed more and more brightly, and the fragrance grew stronger and stronger. Even the little birds passing by downstairs would stop on the windowsill, smell the flowers, and then fly away. Yuan touched Duo's leaves and suddenly understood. It turns out that a small pot of flowers is not just for beauty. It can also hide a warm magic, spreading happiness to everyone and quietly taking away sadness. With Duo on the windowsill, every day becomes as soft and sweet as petals. Big-mouthed goldfish Bubbles' pond food diary in the pond at the entrance of the village. There lives a special goldfish called Bobo. His body is golden and his tail is like a floating orange-red silk ribbon. The most distinctive feature is his mouth. It is a circle larger than that of other goldfish. With just a light opening, it can hold many small shrimps. His friends always laugh and say, "Bubbles' mouth is like a little rice spoon in the pond." That early morning, Bobo was swimming around in the pond when suddenly she heard a gurgling sound. It was the newly moved little carp, Luo. She hadn't found a familiar place to forage yet, and her stomach was growling with hunger. Bubble swam over quickly, opened its big mouth, and scooped out a handful of shiny little shrimps from under the water plants. "Eat quickly. This is the freshest food in the pond." Lulu pecked at the little shrimp, her eyes shining brightly. "Bubble, your big mouth is so amazing. It's like you can do magic." Bubble smiled and continued swimming. When passing through the lotus leaf area, he saw the little crab Juanguang holding up his empty pincers and sighing. He wanted to catch the snails hidden under the lotus leaf roots, but the snail shells were too slippery and always slipped through his pincers. Bubble immediately swam under the lotus leaf, opened its big mouth and took a gentle sniff, sucking out the snail. It carefully placed it in front of Guangzhuang and said, "Eat slowly. Don't pinch your claws." At noon, under the willow tree by the pond, the cry of the little duck Wang Huang came. My little fish dried up in the water and sank into the crevices of the rocks. Bubble swam over quickly, crawled into the crevice of the stone, and pushed the dried fish out with its big mouth. Huang Wang, holding a dried small fish in his mouth, quacked at Bao Bao. Bao Bao, you are truly a great hero in the pond. The setting sun dyed the pond an orange-red. Bobo lay under a large lotus leaf, his belly filled with sweet aquatic plants. Loa Luo brought a round little pebble, Juanguang brought a delicious snail, and Wangguang also shared half a dried small fish. While eating, Baobo wagged his tail. Suddenly, he felt that his big mouth was not something strange, but a great ability to help his friends find delicious food. It turns out that every special place has a great use, the days in the pond, because they can help everyone become fresher than small shrimps and sweeter than aquatic plants. Pink sweet pearls in the vineyards on the outskirts. There are bunches of purple and green grapes hanging everywhere. Only in the farthest corner of the grape trellis is there a special bunch of grapes. Its skin is a light pink, as if wrapped in a layer of peach blossom honey. When the sunlight shines, each one sparkles with a gentle light, like a string of pink sweet pearls hanging on the vine. One early morning, the little squirrel Guago came to the vineyard to look for nuts and was suddenly attracted by the pink color in the corner. It stood on tiptoe, clinging to the grape trellis, and its eyes suddenly lit up. Wow, I've never seen such beautiful grapes. Just as I was about to take a bite, I remembered that the little rabbit next door, Rongrong, loved sweet grapes the most. So I held back my saliva, gently held the grape bunch in my arms, and ran towards Rongrong's home. Rongrong saw the pink grapes and her ears pricked up. What a sweet fragrance! But it touched the bunch of grapes and shook its head, saying, "Such beautiful grapes should be tasted by everyone." So the two friends carried the bunch of grapes and went to look for the little hedgehog. Kuki's back could hold many things, which was just right to safely deliver the grapes to the square. When the three little animals came to the square, the little bee buzzed and the little butterfly was happy. Guogo carefully picked a pink grape and handed it to Wang Wang, saying, "Taste it first. You help the vineyard gather honey. You should be the first to eat." Buzzing took a bite, his eyes curved into crescent moons, sweeter than nectar. Everyone took one after another. The sweetness of the pink grapes spread in their mouths, and everyone's face lit up with smiles. Finally, there was only one grape left. Goago gave it to his grandpa, who was looking after the vineyard. "Grandpa, this is the sweetest grape in the vineyard. Here you go. Grandpa took the grapes and patted Guago's head with a smile, saying, "The sweetest thing is that you are willing to share." Under the setting sun, the little animals were sitting beside the grape trellis, with the sweet taste of pink grapes still lingering in their mouths. Looking at the gradually darkening sky, they suddenly felt it turns out that sharing beautiful things with everyone, happiness will grow like a grapevine, long and sweet, even with a sweet fragrance wafting in the wind.